listeners out there, thank you so, so much for tuning into this episode. We are on the go in this episode of Coda Country Chats today because with Coda Country, we're always on the run, it seems, especially down here in the South. If you didn't know this, I'm also from Georgia, and my guest today is from Georgia as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Vincent Mason. How are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. And listen, I'm so excited to talk more about your upcoming EP that you have dropping later on this month called Can't Just Be Me. Tell me a little bit about the title track from that EP, and we'll go into it from there.
Yeah, that title track, I used to write songs by myself when I moved to Nashville, mainly because I didn't really realize or understand that people wrote songs together. I learned that when I was in Nashville, and before I knew
Yeah.
how to meet anybody I could write with, I was just, trying to figure it out on my own. And I wrote a lot of songs by myself, and Can't Just Be Me was kind of one of the last ones that I wrote on my own. And yeah, it's just kind of Can't Just Be Me. The song itself is about, like, it's a heartbreak so bad, like, it can't just be my heartbreak, like the other person has to be feeling this too. But then we used it as a title track because we just felt like kind of all the songs as a whole, they feel like shared experiences, and like it can't just be me going through all these things on the EP. So that's why we picked it as the title track.
Right. And I feel like sometimes that's one of the reasons why you write the music you do is just to find other people who will connect with it, And so that sounds kind of like what you were going for with Can't Just Be Me. Like everybody's going to find something about that song that they can connect with, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I found like the most relatable songs have been like, if I can tell the story as true to what happened as possible and as true to me as possible, like people usually end up relating to it that way. Like I've never set out to be relatable, but whenever you tell your story like as close to the truth as you can, it usually ends up people relate to it. So I'm hoping that people relate to this one, but yeah, hopefully it can't just be me.
For sure. Tell me about a few more favorites on the EP that you really love.
Yeah, I mean, Hell's a Dance Floor obviously changed the game for us. It was kind of our first
Right. And that,
breakout song.
I was going to say you dropped that as a single back in April, right? I say a single, there's like another song with that too.
That's right. There's like, we grouped them together, but yeah, I mean, I love every song on there. I guess if I had to pick another favorite, one of the ones that's coming out, Really Don't Love Me, that just feels like a really good mix of like what my sound has been and kind of where it's going. It feels like a really good bridge between those things, and it's a little more tempo. And it's been fun. We've been opening the set with that song lately, and it's been really fun. So love that one too. But I love them all. But if
Yeah.
I had to pick a couple.
Well, and it sounds like from what I've heard from Hell's Dance Floor and Can't Just Be Me describing that song, it sounds like this is a very well-rounded project. Who else did you have collaborating on that with you?
Yeah, I wrote. Trying to remember all the writers that are on on Bobby Hambrick. I wrote a song called "Take Too Much" with him. Jack Hummel and Forrest Finn. I wrote a couple songs with them on there. Joe Whalen is on there as well. Chase McDaniel, I wrote Hell's a Dance For with. And Jared Scott, I wrote maybe with. And then Brett Truitt is the producer on this one. And this is the first time I really got to co-produce, so it was fun. He's like a great, super talented producer, but like he also listened to what I had to say, and like this was the first time I've really contributed like directly to a song.
Wow.
And he's always down to kind of try what I'm saying, even if I don't really know how to say it. But yeah, the music sounds exactly how I want it to sound for probably the first time. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about how it all turned out. But Brett Truitt is the man.
Brett Truitt, shout out for sure. Okay, so when you say the music is exactly how you want it to sound, do you find that there are times when I don't want to say experience like an imposter syndrome, but like you're writing and you're like, I don't know if this is really a song that's mine. Like it feels like a song that belongs to somebody else, or it feels like a song that somebody else needs to sing. You know what I mean? Do you ever experience that?
I do, and there's a ton of songs that we write I write a little bit more on a calendar now, and like I said, I'm co-writing in Nashville, and they always let me know who I'm going to write with that week, and I know pretty quick if it's going to be for me or not.
Yeah.
It just bothers me. I can't sing a song that doesn't feel like me. Like it has to feel like me. Like I just won't put it out if it doesn't feel like me. I could have a bunch
Right.
of people telling me to do it and that it's a hit or whatever, but if it doesn't feel right, then I just can't do it. I really wrestle with that a lot. So
Mhm.
there's nothing on this album or EP. There's nothing on this EP that feels like it would be for someone else. These are all like exactly the ones that I wanted to represent me.
That's perfect. Oh, that's so good to hear. So,
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
before we got on the call today, we talked a little bit about some of your exciting new things that are coming up in the fall, especially your touring dates with Gavin Adcock. Tell me all about that. Where will your stops be in the fall?
We're going all over. I think it's like 27 shows or something like that. We're going to be all over the southeast. It looks like a lot of college towns. So I'm really
Oh
excited for
yeah.
that. We got to play a couple weekends with them in April, and the shows were crazy. But I love being out there. I love being out there. Shows are a blast, and it feels like there's a lot of crossover at those shows. Like I feel like the fans are pretty open to our stuff too, and they're there for Gavin, but I feel like we win a few people over, so it's been really fun.
Yeah. Well, and you just talked about winning people over. I'll say from what I know, um, I feel like his fan base is kind of unhinged at times, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean that with love.
Absolutely.
I absolutely, like, but I mean that with love. I think he has like built this amazing fan base on, his great social media game. But I think it's cool that you've gained a lot of fans and a lot of followers from that as well, because yeah, I see how your music kind of complements each other. So I see why you're going out on tour with him. That's incredible. How
Yes, ma'am.
cool.
Unhinged. Unhinged in the best way. That's a great word for it. Yeah.
Yes. Not a word I use all the time. I talked about earlier in your intro that you are from outside of Atlanta, Georgia boy. Tell me, what were the steps that you took in order to start music, move to Nashville, all of that? I want to know more of your background stuff.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to do that growing up at
Mhm.
all. I got a guitar my sophomore year of high school, and because my
Cool.
sister was telling my parents to get one for me, and I took to it pretty quick, and I taught myself a lot of songs really quick, and I was kind of starting to try to sing and play at the same time, and I wasn't showing
Yeah.
anybody, but I was like making sure it sounded good or trying to see if it sounded good and looked any good, but nobody knew I was doing that. I would just do it in my room like late at night or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I went to Ole Miss for like not even a full semester, and then Christmas break at Ole Miss, I started writing songs, and then immediately I was like, okay, I'm in, and learned about
Cool.
Nashville, and the only thing I knew about Nashville was that country music got made there, and I just felt like it was a God thing, like I was supposed to go, and made my way
Yeah.
over there, and slowly started meeting people in town and posting TikToks and all that, and everything kind of fell into place for me. So yeah, thank
Yeah.
God for that. But I really just felt like I was supposed to go, and I came, and um, I do feel like this is what I'm supposed to do with my life, pretty confidently. So yeah,
You know what's funny is that like I feel like there's a huge Georgia community in Nashville. Like you've got Travis Denning, you've got John Langston, you've got Meg Maroney, you've got all these other Georgia artists that just kind of flock to each other. Do you feel that? Do you feel like you have like a huge community of Georgia folks with you?
I do. They're always around. I definitely feel like I'm meeting people from Georgia all the time. Um,
Yeah.
more artists than you even think are from Georgia. So, and writers and songwriters. Actually,
Yeah.
yeah, I met Andy Albert. We were talking about where we were from, and he was literally 2 streets over from me. He graduated, I
Ah,
think, like about like 10 years before me. He said, but like he literally lived 2 streets over from me in Roswell. So crazy.
oh my
Always feel like
gosh,
we're
that's
meeting people from
crazy.
Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah. Small,
So
small world it is. And I think that's so interesting to like, I don't know, and doing what I do and interviewing artists, it's cool to hear how stories are kind of parallel to each other, where like you just said, you got your first guitar sophomore year of high school. Some people tell me that they've been singing, playing all their life. It just really is cool to hear like how those stories kind of like all culminate to becoming singer-songwriters in Nashville. Like how no matter what happens, like you're just gonna always kind of find each other and be at the right place at the right time. And it sounds like you're working on that now. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me, yes. Okay. We talked about that fall tour coming up. And with your EP dropping, you also were telling me that you have more music on the way. So I don't want to give too much of that away. But for the listeners out there and for your fans, give me like a timeline. Like what's next on the docket for you?
I mean, the plan, it always ends up changing usually, but I know we're gonna get. I was just talking about it before the call, but I know we're planning to get in the studio soon and cut with a band for the first time, so that'll be awesome. And I mean, everybody's working towards, pretty steady releases throughout the rest of the year. So that's what I'll say.
Definitely. Oh, that sounds so exciting, Vincent. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, thank you so much for hopping on this call today and just telling me all about the new upcoming EP and your exciting new tour. I can't wait to follow along with you and see more of what you have going on. For the listeners out there, will you shout out your social media handles and how we can find you and follow you and stream your music?
Yeah, Instagram is _Vincent Mason, and I think my TikTok is just Vincent Mason. I'm pretty sure. So
Perfect.
there you go. Yep. Easy.
Absolutely. Before we hop off the call today, do you have anything else or anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'll shout out my mom because she was the one when I told her I wanted to move to Nashville. I kind of was delaying things. I was like, maybe I'll go next year or whatever. And she was the one that was just like, no, you said it and you meant it. So you're going to go right now. So I'll shout out my mom.
Shout out to all moms. I feel like
Yeah,
that
shout
is
out to
just
all, shout out to all moms.
that is so great to know though. It's always great to have someone like that in your corner just being like, no, you're gonna do it no matter what. How
Yes,
awesome.
ma'am. And I'll shout out my dad too, because he checks on how everything's going every single day. So I'm sure he'd like a shout out too.
Yes.
So yeah.
Aw, that is so precious. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks, Vincent Mason, for coming on the show today. For the listeners out there, be sure to check out his new EP dropping on May 24th, Can't Just Be Me. And you heard it here with Leigh and Coda Country. Y'all have a good day.
All right. Thank you.